Yes, Texas. The land of barbecue, bluebonnets, natural wonders, and castles. Wait, castles? Yes, castles. Although this may sound surprising to some, Texas is home to several beautiful, historical, and in some cases, spectacular castles. Today, we're going to look at the top 5 medieval-style castles located in the great state of Texas. Number 5. Emunator Castle. Emunator Castle is located in Santa Fe, Texas, and it was constructed shortly after the Great Depression. According to a 1981 Galveston Daily News article, this blocky, Moorish-style residence was built around 1936 by the widow of a Danish immigrant as a home for retired nuns. When the diocese declined the widow's offer, she moved in herself and lived there until 1954. After passing through 2 owners, it was purchased in the 1970s by Franco Pinataro, a Sicilian-born former carabinier, or royal policeman, turned American chicken farmer, turned restaurateur, who told the Daily News in 1999 that he bought the castle because it reminded him of Sicily. Whenever Pinataro, who passed away in 2010, wasn't in the kitchen at his Franco's Real Italian restaurant near League City, now owned by and renamed after his daughter Franca, he was painting murals of Italian street scenes or molding concrete sculptures of galloping steeds, snarling lions, and mighty Greco-Roman gods, many of which still stand guard on the castle grounds. One of his daughters, Lena, once said, "If you want to make my dad happy, give him a bag of cement." The home still remains in the Pinataro family, although it's just a shadow of its former self, having fallen into disrepair and possibly abandonment. Number 4. The Castle at Rockwall. The castle at Rockwall was completed around 2004 in the town of Rockwall, Texas, by John Dumford, a Dallas lawyer, and his wife, Charlotte Dumford. At the time of completion, it originally became known as Castle Douglas. It was constructed in memory of John Dumford's mother, Bernadine Douglas Dumford, who died on April 6 of 1998. In the wake of Miss Douglas Dumford's death, her surviving son and daughter-in-law considered fulfilling their lifelong dream of building a castle, a dream that both of them had each independently nurtured since their youth. So they searched for a site, and they ended up purchasing 71 acres in Rockwall County for the project. Since then, Castle Douglas has been purchased by new owners, who refurbished the castle and renamed it the Castle at Rockwall. This majestic, luxurious structure is now used for wedding ceremonies and receptions, bridal showers, engagement parties, holiday parties, and corporate events. Number 3. Lake Worth Castle. Lake Worth Castle, also known as Whiting Castle or also as the Castle of Heron Bay, is located in Fort Worth, Texas, and its story begins around the year 1860. Indeed, this grand palace is reported to have had a humble beginning. A 1-story gabled rear wing is believed to be the 3-room stone farmhouse that was originally built on this site around 1860, long before this structure was the glorious castle that we see today. We don't know who initially built the first stone house, but records do indicate that the land was homesteaded by a D.P. Terrell as early as 1872, the first indication that a residence stood on the property. After changing hands multiple times, the residence ended up in the hands of the Whiting family at some point during the early 20th century. At that point, the Whiting family greatly expanded the dwelling into what it is now, and constructed what has come to be known locally as the Lake Worth Castle, with the structural expansion being completed around 1938. During the ownership by the Whitings, it's believed that their son committed suicide at the castle, and the castle itself also suffered a serious fire in 1939. The Vultee Aircraft Corporation leased the estate between 1944 and 1954, probably using it to entertain visiting businessmen and dignitaries. Jimmy Stewart stayed here in the early 1950s during the filming of Strategic Air Command at nearby Carcel Air Force Base. General Dwight D. Eisenhower spent time here as well. The mid-80s found the castle owned by a John Peikenberg from Hawaii and a Richard Reese, who left the property as you see it today. Since then, the property had long been abandoned until recently, when its current owners have begun restoring it. Number 2. Newmans Castle. Newmans Castle is an extraordinarily picturesque castle located in the countryside near Belleville, Texas. It was constructed by a successful bakery owner named Mike Newman, who completed it in 2006. Since exploring Europe in his early 20s, Mr. Newman had always dreamt of building his own castle, and after about 8 years of construction, he made that a reality in the Belleville countryside. Exhibiting the same hard work and determination that built his successful bakery of nearly 3 decades, Mike broke ground on his mighty fortress in 1998. The castle features a working drawbridge with an accompanying portcullis, a gator-filled moat, a trebuchet, a chapel, a great hall, a training ground, 5 round corner turrets, a courtyard, and a central keep with a dramatic view of the surrounding lands. Mr. Newman has made his castle available for tours, although guests are required to make a reservation in advance before coming. Visitors are taken throughout the entire castle and encouraged to touch and play with all the curiosities they find. In addition, guests can also visit Newman's Bakery, as it's called, nearby at Belleville, Texas. This is the original bakery that belongs to the castle's founder, and it's amazing. I tried some of his pastries and was happy to confirm that they had been well worth the hour-long drive from Houston. Number 1. Fuckenstein Castle. Arguably the most amazing castle in Texas, and one of the most amazing in the entire United States, is known as Fuckenstein Castle, located about 12 miles southwest of Burnet, Texas. And naturally, along with this Texas-sized castle comes a Texas-sized fairy tale. It all started in 1995. When a Texas couple named Terry and Kim Young visited the impressive Fuckenstein Castle in southwestern Bavaria, Germany. During this tour, the Youngs were intrigued to learn that, in addition to the castle they were currently visiting, King Ludwig had secretly been making plans to build another castle, which was to be named Fuckenstein. The castle was to be built approximately 12 miles from Fussen, which is the old town located just below Neuschwanstein. After considerable time and effort, the Youngs were able to obtain copies of the original diagrams that had been intended as the basis for building King Ludwig's Fuckenstein Castle, which had ultimately never been built. With these diagram copies now in their possession, Terry and Kim left Germany with the indescribable feeling that they truly had something special. Upon their return flight home, Mr. Young looked at Mrs. Young and boldly asked, "Sweetheart, what would you think about spending the next 10 years or so building our very own Fuckenstein Castle in Texas?" To which Kim smiled and replied, "Why not?" And so they did. Thus, the Youngs returned to the town of Burnet, Texas, and began the process of building their very own Texas-sized fairy tale castle. And today, Fuckenstein Castle is a popular wedding and event destination. The grounds are teeming with the beauty of the Texas Hill Country all over the place, and new people every day share in the magic inspired by the original German King Ludwig of Bavaria. Fuckenstein Castle is set among 113 acres of preserved Texas parkland, and on a clear day, there's a 360-degree view from the castle that extends 30 miles in every direction. Within the property's white limestone walls, there are 4 acres of land available for guests to explore. 2 notable features on the property include the really calm, tranquil lily pond and secluded butterfly garden that's home to over 150 varieties of wildflowers and herbs. The venue offers a $4,000 wedding package that includes all-day access on the date of your event, 2 hours of rehearsal time, wedding coordinator, photographers, and a space for your ceremony and reception. The castle can also be rented as lodging for a night, with some past rates having been placed around the region of $2,000 per night. So if you've ever wanted to live a day as a king or a queen in your very own medieval castle, and you're willing to pay the big bucks for it, then this may just be the fairy tale experience that you've been looking for. Thank you so much for coming along with me to explore these amazing, majestic, and historical places. Keep in mind that these are not all of the medieval-style castles that are found in Texas, just my favorite 5, based on their authentic appearance, story, and current condition. Do you feel like I missed something? Please feel free to comment below the video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on my next adventure.